All right, good afternoon, everyone. This is Awi. You can call me Doc Awi, or you can call me Dr. Hibanada, or you can just call me Awi. I'm here to talk about digital citizenship amidst pandemic. And I entitled my presentation, Mag-Tech Talk tayo. So, magandang hapon sa inyong lahat. So, hello. Mabuhay. This is my way of greeting you. If you can send your own greetings in the chat panel, you can do so. We have 1 minute to do that, if you may. Please send us your greetings. No, whatever it is that you way that you want to greet us. Maybe Merry Christmas, or Hola, or Mabuhay, or Hello, or even kamusta ka. Pwede mag-shout out. So we'll try to shout out later your greetings in the chat box. Thank you. Ayan, mag-TikTok muna tayo, no? You can comment yes if you can relate to the situations that I will show you during this pandemic. So it has been almost 2 years that we are on a, back and forth cha-cha of lockdowns. And so if you can relate to these situations, no, each situations that I will post here, you can comment yes, or you can also flash that approved or thumbs up in your in the chat panel or in your profile here videos. Okay, I have once made a dalgona coffee. Yan, usong-uso yan no, nung unang mga months na nasa bahay. Therefore, enjoy pa. We have all the time in the world. Grabe, kanya-kanyang dalgona coffee tayo, right? Yes, we can see so many yes, yes, yes. Kahit ako, no, I also experimented on making a dalgona coffee myself. Okay, so you have been working for more than 10 years. Maybe that's me or your teachers here. Just say yes or put a heart reaction maybe. Thank you. I am a student. You have been a student for more than 7 years. So most of you are in the junior high school, I would think. And also looking at the profiles, you are young people here. So good to have young people in the audience. Thank you very much for coming here. We have so much expectations of our youth today. Of course, there are teachers here. Yes, educator or of course, educator guardian. Ayan, I have difficulty using gadgets or applications. Maybe wala, no? So siguro ito a thumbs down to because I can see here digital natives already. So in the audience in this virtual Zoom meeting, I think every one of us here do not have any difficulty using gadgets or applications. Okay, but this is the most important statement or situation of all. I am ready to be a responsible digital citizen. So this is where we will start. So this is where our tech talk will start actually. So are you ready to become a responsible digital citizen? If yes, I also will say yes. Thank you very much. Thank you. So you and me in the online world, this pandemic. So well, we are doing so much in the online world. In fact, the online world or the virtual world actually almost replaced our real world because we get updates on what's happening outside through our social media maybe, or we connect with friends. We share our experiences to our status in social media. We also tell other people about ourselves online. And some of you may have grown your business online. And the most important thing is that we are now in our education system, have shifted from face-to-face to online. So nevertheless, you also buy something online. and we've seen how the social media and the online world, no, and the use of the online platforms is very prevalent at this time of pandemic. Well, maybe because we are all staying at home, and the internet is what we have to connect to the outside world. And I think that's part of the education 4.0 and industrial revolution 4.0, where we use the internet to many things, no, even maybe face to face, or even in face to face. I think we'll still use the online media, but not as prevalent as what we're doing now in this pandemic. Okay, the digital world, the ICT and us, there are so many things that, they say that young people, no, millennial and your generation, have already shifted and become digital natives. Ako, I would rather say that I'm a digital migrant because I am not really used. I was not born with all of this technology, and I learned it. I learned it through work and education. Of course, gone are the days that when we were in college that we use a floppy disk, a mini floppy disk drive, and now everything is in the cloud. No, when we say cloud, hindi yan yung umuulan, right? When we say cloud computing, no, you can actually do your work anytime, anywhere, or at your own expense. The life is very flexible, but at the same time, it poses many challenges for us. No, especially the issues of course, the digital divide, and we must not forget that we are facing the great digital divide. In fact, the world faces a digital divide, the technological divide, that only 60% of the population all over the world is able to access the and has a good access of internet and gadgets. Okay, so we are now on the digital age learning, and I would say, as a teacher, um, this has many benefits, no? The digital age learning. However, we also need to have face-to-face interaction, but this digital learning is very adaptive, blended, when we come to see each other face to face in a classroom setting. But you can actually blend your experiences, going online, and then discussing and collaborating face to face. And then it is, of course, it needs a technology, it needs a hardware, it needs a computer, so it's computer assisted, and everything can be digital, no? And I've earlier mentioned that um, it can also be distance learning or e-learning, and it's very flexible. You learn from where you are, and you learn at a time most convenient to you. That's the flexibility, and I think that's the beauty of it. Um, when we are able to have and choose the environment that we want to in the e-learning and the flexible learning. Okay, and so now there's so many apps, no? These are apps that well, I've just get this from an Instagram post, that also in the Pinterest, that there are so many users of all these social media apps, and all of these are social media applications, and so the use of it becomes trial and error. What are the advantages, what are the disadvantages of all these um, applications? Now, Facebook is the number one social media application that is being used by Filipinos. Second is the YouTube. Yeah. And also WhatsApp and FB Messenger, and then Instagram, and then Twitter. So what do you do with these apps? You connect with your friends, but also at this point in time, there's so many post-truth and fake news proliferating in this social media application. So we need to have a good grasp of reality, no, to be able to manage ourselves, no, in the information that we get from all of the social media. Okay, and part of the gift, no, there are also perils. No, we have an unseen enemy in using the digital gift. No, in accepting the digital gift, we also accept the unseen enemy, such as the use of social media can create in us the selfie generation, according to Time magazine. Also, there are so many predators, no, in the social media and in the internet. Of course, we are all at risk of game addiction. Can you type in yes if you once in your life you have played Candy Crush or now MOL or COC? And then of course, what we have now is, this one, no, this fake news proliferation, no, in the time of post-truth. Ang dami. So, what to do? No? There are so many risks and vulnerabilities, such as you are being profiled and your cybersecurity is at risk. Also, hacking hacking of personality, identity theft, and these kinds of cybercrime. So these are risks and vulnerabilities that that beset us, no, in this time. And there's so many cyber crimes that are happening, around the world, actually. And also, we have here, of course, cyberbullying, the risk of cyberbullying. By the way, this is a book that I've written. You can order it online, sa Lazada or sa Shopee, through the Church Strengthening Ministry. Press delete cyberbullying. I've written about digital citizenship as well in this book. Okay, and what else? So, aside from the risk and vulnerabilities of being cyberbullied, meron bang na cyberbully na dito o meron ba ditong cyberbully? I hope wala naman. Wala namang cyberbully dito. So, we need to have online intelligence. We need to be digitally literate. And so, this calls for digital citizenship. And what is digital citizenship, guys? Digital citizenship is or digital citizenship education is educating, is an activity, it's a process like what we are doing now, no? For us to become digitally literate citizen and to become a digitally literate citizen, we have to possess the knowledge, the skills, and behavior to responsibly use the internet and other digital technologies. It is how we are being educated, we are being socialized, we get the knowledge, we get the skills and the behaviors, even the values to become responsible users of the internet and digital technologies. And it's important to us, of course, especially to you. No, you will be the reporters of our future. And as you go along, training yourself in this endeavor that you have started, you need to know about, and you need to become a digital citizen, no, a literate citizen. And so so doing, we also help our communities as well. Okay, so how to become a responsible digital citizen? I can go on talking about this, no, so many things that I can share to you, but this is the basics, no, that we teach in Facebook Digital Tayo trainings. So how to become a responsible digital citizen is the question of the hour. So, ito yung tatlong nilagay ko dito. No, a responsible digital citizen protects oneself, family and friends, and the community. Para madaling maintindihan. So, OFC. Now, a responsible digital citizen protects oneself, family and friends, and community. So let's move on to discussing the responsible digital citizen that protects oneself. Of course, you cannot give what you don't have. So you need to protect yourself first. You need to know how to protect yourself first. And so this is something that we all need to know, that we can leave tracks online. We leave a mark on the information that we share, no? And we call that the digital footprint. See, this is I'm my background is a digital footprint. And so even if you already erased or deleted some of the information that you posted online, please be aware that it might not be completely deleted actually. So you leave your tracks online, no? Such as when you're walking along the beach and nakakamiss yun, ano, you leave your footprints behind, but it can be, washed away by the waves. But here, no, whatever, any behavior that you do online, it leaves a mark on your name. No, somewhere in the cloud, somewhere in the networks of the internet, you leave your tracks there. Huh? You leave a mark. And what kind of mark are we leaving? So this is the time you get to reflect the kind of posts, no, you have from the previous day, maybe let's just yesterday. So you need to know about all of these things. You need to reflect on, how do I project myself online? And what are the things that I'm saying online? What are the things that I'm posting? What are the things that I'm sharing? And this behavior that we post or that we send online leaves a mark on our name. That's important. So, what do you share about yourself? No? You can look at your profile and personal information. You can look at your posts. You can look at the messages that you send out to your friends. You can look at what you are sharing or liking, and who have access to those information. It's important to know who has the access to this information. Who are the ones that you give access to this information that you post? Now, if it's in public, everything is in public, then it's for public consumption. And reflect on what you're sharing about yourself. Maybe you're oversharing already. Um, I won't really give the details to this because I know that you already know how to be discreet online. Yes, no, that's something important. There are ways that others can access information about us, such as the pictures that we post, our social media account, no, and if we search for something, definitely it can be profiled. Our school, our job and employer can have also an information about us, the news stories. This is your area of interest right now in the community or social groups. So whatever you do online can be accessed, no? Images, Google shares, or anything that you share in the community or social groups can be accessed by other people as well. Okay, so that's the digital footprint. And so what we're going to do is to know how to protect our digital identity. We need to protect our digital identity for our own sake, because we can be, I was a victim of identity theft. And so buti na lang in a matter of minutes, there are so many people calling my attention that there's someone who's pretending to be me, as a professor, and asking for money. And I know that there are so many similar stories to that, no? And so how do we protect our digital identity? We have, guys, as responsible digital citizens, we have to choose the content that we show to other people. We need to sift through in our mind before dito na talaga sinasabi natin, you have to think before you click. All right, you have to choose the content that you show to other people, yung mga contents na hindi ka magsisisi after mo i-post. And then be wary of abusive content. Of course, we need to respect other people as well, and also respect ourselves. And then number three is to secure our account. So choose the content that you show other people. Be authentic. Don't fake your name. Don't fake your profile. And don't use other people's profile to put in your status, or to put in your account. Please don't use that. Don't use that. So if you want to be respectable online, you need to show your authentic self. But of course, we need to sift the content, and then we need to choose our friends now wisely. It goes with face to face and online. We need to choose our friends. Ang maganda lang sa online, you can unfriend, you can unfollow, you can block. No, and that's what we don't want to do face to face, diba? But we can also unfriend a person, we can also unfollow a person if they are toxic. So pwede naman yon, no? You choose also your circles. Then if they're not helping you grow, then it's time maybe to think about how your relationships affects you as a person and your growth. Diba? Choose your audience wisely. Be careful with what you share your information with. Okay, so you can remove accounts. You can also remove other accounts. You can delete. You can also be deleted by Facebook, by the way, or any social media when someone reports you. Okay, so be wary of abusive content. There are so many scams. So don't give out your personal or financial information online. Yung mga nagpo-post ng pa-Gcash naman po, then your real number, please don't. And also, if you're using that for Gcash, you may be putting yourself in a possible danger. Okay? And of course, report abusive content. And lastly is to secure your account. Secure your login and your log out, and use a strong password, a combination of letters, numbers, characters na maaalala mo. Please don't use your birthdays as your login, log out passwords, because in that way you are also giving information. So for a strong password, make sure it is a combination of small letters and big letters, has different characters, and is not too short. Okay? Ayan. Also, you set your location privacy. Don't say I'm in this place or that place. You know, you have to check your privacy setting and your security setting as well. And all social media applications have this kind of a feature. You need to secure your account. Even your email can be secured in terms of your location privacy, your privacy setting, and security settings. Okay? How to protect your digital identity? Well, on Facebook, you can click at the right-hand corner of Facebook and click privacy shortcuts. Also applies to Instagram and Twitter. And then you can review important privacy settings. Just go to the privacy settings and then click the settings that you want, no? So you can always have privacy check apps on your accounts. So how to protect yourself? Number one, set a strong password. You can also enable your login alerts in your social media accounts and in your email. No? You can activate also login approval, no? And log out of unused device. Of course, if you're not, because we used to have so many devices, if you're not using that for a certain application, you have to log out your application in there. And of course, you need to have to check your security in the applications. Okay? So can you leave? Can you block a person? Can you report? Definitely yes. You can leave, you can block, and you can report. No, just to maintain our sanity, of course. So that's protecting oneself. Bibilisan ko to kasi 30 minutes. And then this one is protecting family and friends, of course. If you are to comment, how would you react to this following post? I really hate my boss. What should be your reply? If you have a friend, it's such a hassle being in the Philippines. I hate it here. It's so many lockdowns. It has a very bad government or whatever. So, anong magiging reply mo dito? I'm too lazy to attend school. What will be your reply? No? Well, these are persons. These are persons behind the screen. They are your maybe classmates or friend or sibling. And so sometimes we forget about the other person behind the screen. We look at the screen right now. You're looking at me and I'm looking at you, pictures and names. But I know there is a person behind the screen this afternoon. Okay? Behind every screen is a human being with unique experiences and backgrounds, just like you and me, even in your classes, even in a meeting like this. And remembering this, that there's a human being, no? Um, behind the screen allows us to empathize and try to put ourselves in their shoes. Empathy. I'm giving a boost, no, in growing our empathy. Empathy is our ability to feel what another person is experiencing, looking at their own point of view. It's not just sympathizing. Yes, I understand you, but it's about saying, I feel you and I feel it sometimes. We are on the same boat. Yeah. So, no to cancel culture. So, you see, what can you see in the image at my back? Some people would say that this is a butterfly, and some would say that these are two faces. Also, with this one, some will say that it is a vase, or some will say that these are two faces. And so, our our perspectives are different, but it doesn't mean that we fight. No, we be, that's because we're so different that we have so much to share. What you're looking at may be the same, but you may have another perspective on it, and we need to respect each other. Okay? Well, so what's our relationship using our technology? Yan, how do you react with technology? What is over messaging? Yan, no? When you send so many messages to another person that a person becomes overwhelmed. Even if that's your teacher on the other side of the screen, or your friend, no, um, we tend to send over message, and so we need to be careful of this, because not everyone is okay, and it's okay not to be okay. But when is it okay to receive so many messages? I don't think it is. And so we want to respect the privacy also of the people in their time. So please, before you send a message or call, you need to ask permission. Okay? So good or bad, just tell me if these behaviors are healthy. Number one, messaging good morning, good night to someone you really care about. I think that's a thumbs up, right? Liking and resharing everything your friends post, maybe a thumbs down. Not everything, right? Posting content on social media using your friend's account, definitely a no-no. Tagging your friends in photos from a party, you need to ask permission. Spreading gossip about your schoolmate on social media is definitely a no-no. And posting excerpts from the private conversation, specifically screenshots, without permission is also a thumbs down. Okay? So, how do you encourage your friends to become upstanders? What I'm saying now is that we need to be upstanders for healthy behaviors in online relationships. No, we need to be upstanders. No bystanders, because bystanders don't have any backbone, di ba? Gusto natin upstander ka. We need to be an advocate of good relationships online and of course face to face, no? So, is it okay to unfriend, unfollow, and block? Yes, yes, it's okay. Report, restrict, and block also is a yes. Okay, you can also leave groups. You can leave groups. You can identify the groups that are problematic and you can report them as a spam or you can leave the group. Okay? So why is it important to communicate online respectfully? No, the word here is respect. Number one is empathy and now respect because we have different perspectives and experiences. And it is our responsibility to reflect our own values as well, but reflect the values, feelings of others, no? And accept the differences. Hindi natin kailangan mag-trash talk online, di ba? Because when we respect others, when we accept differences, we recognize that every human being, no, has their own right, no, to opinion, and that every screen, no, you're talking to a screen is a human being behind that. So we can have conversations that allow ourselves and communities to be better and more helpful to each other. Napaka-toxic ng social media ngayon. Alam niyo yan, no, about all of these things, no, politics. And so, ang daming nag-unfriend, ang daming nagta-trash talk. So, paano natin to haharapin? My take on that is respect and empathy. No, I would always go to the basics: respect and empathy. So ways to practice online engagement positively: know your audience. No, as writers, you have to know your audience. You have to show empathy and treat everyone as important. You have to be sensitive and be open-minded as well to the people, to your audience, and to the online community. So that is number two. Responsible digital citizen protects family and friends. And so lastly, it protects the community. So we protect the community with misinformation. We want to protect our community against misinformation. So there are three types of information: fact, opinion, and false news. No? What's a fact? Of course, something that can be proven true. Like my statement, this is an apple. If I will say that this is the only apple in the city, and so that's just an opinion and it cannot be true. And so there are false news. So what are the real life consequences of false news? You see, it damages reputation, it deceives and affects personal safety, and also it causes panic and fear. No, we have so many real life consequences that we can cite this time. There are so many things that we can really talk about. No, ang daming talking points ng aking presentation. So how do we know if the news article is which is posted is real or not, or fake? Ayan, sige, sa palagay nyo, dito ako sa gitna. Paano natin malalaman kung ang news article is real or fake? Dito sa apat na to, read about us website section where it is posted. Check if the post is from a close friend. Know the website domain and check the picture. You can actually send me your icons or emoticons. Let's see. Yan. You can read about the website. You can look at the website name. And you can check the picture, no? Merong counter check yung picture pag pinost mo, no? Picture search ang tawag doon. So even if it's a post from your close friend, you cannot be sure it's real. Okay, how about this? We can know if the article is posted, which is posted is real by if it's shared by a group of page you follow, if it is shared by more than 1,000 people about the author, and with sources and evidences from credible institutions. And so, of course, this is the answer. When we are reading an article with sources, evidences from credible institutions, and then, of course, the credibility of the author. Even if it's shared by more than 10,000 people, it can be fake, okay? So what about this? Spelling error, dramatic punctuations, date of article, familiar article, and date of post. Alin kaya? Of course, we can see that fake news have so many spelling errors and grammatical errors as well. Date of article and date of post is important. Even if the article is familiar to you and you have read it somewhere, no, and you've seen it being shared, that's why it became familiar. It doesn't mean it's true. Okay, what about this? What we can do if there are pictures? Ayan, you can actually reverse search a picture. And then if the news, if it's posted by all major outlets online, because our media, our newspaper have already digitalized versions as well, no? Trending is not real news. And even if it's sent by a friend, it can be a scam. So what to check? All of this, no? Check formatting, check and verify images, check the author, check if it is a whole or a humor, check the date, check the link of the URL, check the headlines and the sources. Okay, so when we see false information in Facebook and social media, we can report. No, there are community standards in all social media applications, and you can report actually so that it can be blocked. So, how can you be discerning with the post you see? Have you experienced seeing a news events that is thinking it was true because of rumors? What was the event? So these are the questions, no, that you can use if you want to discern with the posts you see. Okay, because we are all part of an online community, so we have to be responsible. We have to be responsible digital citizens. A responsible digital citizen protects oneself, family and friends, and community, because we are all mad here. We are all making a difference. So be a responsible digital citizen. We're counting on you guys. We're counting on you, youth. So thank you very much. Maraming salamat. This is Teacher Avi. Thank you so much for this chance to share with you. Thank you. Thank you. God bless. So hello everyone. This is the second installment of the lectures that I have in this set of training. This is all about digital leadership. Now, after knowing about Education 5.0 and Industrial Revolution 5.0, how do we invigorate our schools for a better normal? So that's focused on digital literacy, digital literacy and citizenship. So today we're going to discuss the major practices, no, that we see from principals, technological directors, trainers, and leaders doing the support in change in education. So we also provide trainings, online webinars to school administrators towards supporting technology integration in their school, and during those years that we are working alongside with them, we have seen best practices in invigorating the school through digital leadership. So what is digital leadership? Of course, it is the strategic use of company or the school's digital assets to achieve the goals. This can be dealt with both organizationally and at the individual level. So looking at the individual level, you see how the individual member of the organization is able to use the digital assets, as well as becoming a better user and creator of knowledge in the use of digital assets as well. So an effective digital leader is aware of the goals and knows the job of different and responsibilities of different members of the organization, And at the organization leader, the leadership, the leader um, look into the digital assets and how can we gain more and to maintain a competitive edge in using the digital technology. They explore how technology can be of use to um, maximize the business to become more responsive to the needs of the customers as well as the ever-changing landscape. And so, if we will translate that into being leaders of education, educational leaders should be digital leaders as well, looking at how we are maximizing the use of digital technologies in relation to our customers who are our students. And so, a successful digital leader is able to look into the changes, no, that can see the digital transformation that he can see or she can see in the course of development of the business. But in education, we see now digital transformation in a sense that there are a lot of changes that are happening, and essentially we need to better be prepared in the solving of problems related to education in the new normal. So digital transformation is all about the use of new, fast, frequent digital technologies to solve problems. That's digital transformation. So when we say digital leadership and digital transformative leadership is all about solving problems of the community. And the successful digital leader understands the importance of data and processes, no, and the different uh, the different researches that suppose they get from the different stakeholders. Successful digital leaders place high value on communication, creativity, and willingness to explore on the ways that these new emerging technologies and digital information can be of use to help business projects or to help the education as well. So, effective digital leadership is all about helping the organization to create a good workflow and processes and different products that they can roll out while making sure that not only about educational technology and IT operations are being maintained, but also the level of information that the members of the community are getting, no, in terms of the use of digital technology. So how do we build a digital culture in our environment, in our company, in our organization? So different businesses will require different tools to improve their work. But having a good and effective digital leader will help the organization in finding the right tools that are available, that are suited for our teachers' needs and our students' needs. Okay? And that will actually impact productivity in terms of course, in terms of effectivity in teaching, in terms of student achievement, and in terms of holistic development of the students as well. Of course, if we are using digital technology, we look at the satisfaction of students in attending school, and I hope that they enjoy, the time that they have right now in school. Yes. So what are the digital leadership skills needed in order for you to be an effective digital leader? So number one, as digital leaders, we need to know how to use technology in communicating with our team, with our members. Digital leaders can build a strong network of communication from top to bottom of the business or the organization. And to implement this, you must have a strategy in place in understanding who are we talking to. Are we talking to the students? Are we talking to the teachers? Are we talking to the parents? No, so these are important. Digital leaders should know who they are talking to and what are their needs in order to be responsive as well. So there are different types of applications that you can use, softwares, websites that can gather, process, and communicate information. So it requires that the digital leader knows about all of this mode of communication as well. So there are different devices also. This one are applications, websites, and softwares. Also, the different devices that can receive, store, process, and share digital information and connect this to apps, website, and other online services to be ready of use and to communicate with different stakeholders of the community. So it's important that the digital leader, the education leader, knows about effective communication to enhance the relationship between teachers, students, and other stakeholders. Okay. Also, in the light of communicating with teachers, I would say that staying connected or the power of professional learning network, looking at how you can flat your organization, make it flatter in such a way that students are students can see that their teachers and that their school heads are working together hand in hand, head to head, not competing with each other, and seeing how they solve the problems in such a way that they are actually learning from each other through the professional learning network. This training is a professional learning network, but also you can do that in your own school settings as well. You can do that virtually. You can have a good communication and a good problem solving activities in your respective schools. Okay. So also importantly, the digital leader know every member of the organization matters, no? And people know their matter, according to Angela Myers, if we see them, we hear them, we understand them, we appreciate them, no? To spend time with them, diba? And say, I couldn't have done it without you, to acknowledge them and to write them appreciation notes. That means that we know them and we see them, and of course, we know their first names. No? Are we going to be their friend in social media? I cannot answer that. It's up to you. No, but better to have a professional account as well, and also a friend's account. No? When we open our ears and listen to our stakeholders on how to deal with the problems that are related to digital education, we are actually being responsive. When we ask meaningful questions, no, that will make them do the thinking process. And when we say that we believe that they can, and that kind of encouragement gives them the boost that they need, and sometimes to unlock their power in solving the community problems. Also, we dwell in possibilities. There are so many possibilities, but we envision the future, no? The outcome that we want in terms of our objectives and goals. Of course, in number 6, we celebrate. It is a reinforcement that everyone actually needs, no? Let's celebrate our small victories as well. And also, as a leader, you have to choose that you matter to people. And so you show up, you do things for them, and you do these things with love as well. So this is my question to you. What are the ways you can improve communications in your school? You can answer that later in your reflective paper. Okay? I told you earlier that the digital leader should know about the digital technology and have a grip of the technology and tools that will bring the entire workforce along with you. So, how do we use the Google Chat for productivity in the work? How do we use all of these materials to be better productive in our leading, the university or the institution that we have? So, when we look at the use of the digital technology, we use the very drastic changes that are happening right now, where digital technology empowers authentic, meaningful collaboration and engaged learning among our students, whether they are together or they are at the comfort of their home. Of course, the devices present new challenges for all, but skills to need to manage the benefits and minimize the risk in using the devices as well. Okay? We need to have a strategic leadership in terms of digital culture. How do we nurture the digital culture in the school? And how do we actually look at the different changes that are happening, outside our community, outside our school, and how can we adapt all of these things, or the most important things, that leads to productivity. So the digital agenda of the leader is very important. Okay. So first, how do you look at the digital agenda? You look at how the teaching and learning and leading in the school is being affected by digital technology. How do you deliver? How do you sustain? How do you excel in using the technology in your school? So you can also do this second worksheet. How do you use technology at your school in the teaching and learning and leading and maybe other activities as well? Okay. And so with that, we inspire innovation. According to Steve Jobs, innovation distinguishes between a leader and a follower. So how do we encourage innovation? What is innovation in the digital landscape? Innovation is being flexible and adaptable with approaches in creating digital content and workforce. Trying out new systems, looking at how these different technologies can be applied in the school, but also being strategic in such a way that the risk taking is have less impact in the teaching and learning process. So what are the 9 characteristics of innovative leaders according to Jack Zenger? Number 1, innovative leaders value diversity and inclusion. It celebrates the digital leadership. Innovative digital leadership celebrates the differences that we have, but also being inclusive in such a way that looking at everyone, that they can contribute to the betterment of the school and organization. About innovative leaders, of course, excel at teamwork. Teamwork is the collaboration in teamwork is the language of the 21st century. And so they believe in every member of the organization, and they excel at how to manage the teamwork among members as well. So innovative leaders ask a lot of questions and listen to answer. Normally, the innovative leader is the 10th man who look at the different activities and questions, big questions. Of course, the listening part is very important. Listening to the what ifs, listening to the how do we go there, listening to the answers of teachers or different stakeholders as well. Number 4, innovative leaders set things in motion sooner than later. They are the one who initiate what is going to happen, or what should be done, in the finding of solution. We set high goals as innovative leaders. And number 6, innovative leaders jointly create a vision with their colleagues, not just one's vision, but the vision of all. Number seven, innovative leader builds trusts among others in the stakeholder, and then they constantly change the status quo. And of course, the digital leaders have expertise in educational technology. Okay, so risk taking is not only taking any risk, but it is taking risk in terms of uh, looking at the different strategies as well. So these are calculated risk. No, we can have risk-taking activities among our teachers, as well as doing this 15 things every teacher should try for this year, or while they are teaching. No, create a class website, create a YouTube, create a Twitter account, create blog, no, collaborate, yeah, do Genius Hour, do coding, this video conferencing, try to be paperless, no, create through creating automated quizzes or student e-portfolios in different Google Forms, and of course, the use of different devices. But the education leader is always responsible to look at how the students can be safe and protected, as well as their identity. So, effective digital leaders are very adaptable, no? Proactive and willing to change for the better. But they support the culture of wellness in school as well as change. They lead by example. They support the students as well. They look at the power of culture and support and collaboration. Then they create a positive culture among all members of the society. They're very strategic in terms of looking into how solutions can be applied to different contexts and problems in the community and in the school. First, they are transformative. No, digital leaders should be transformative in leading the teachers who are ready to embrace changes, create the needed change in themselves, but also create ripples of change among their students and in the community as well. Okay, so I think that's it. I will stop my sharing on this different activities and strategies in digital leadership, and also the characteristics of leaders who are digitally literate and who are actually digital leaders themselves. If you have questions, you can just type in and send to rowenahibanada@gmail.com. Thank you very much for listening to my presentation, and I hope that you learned something and that your insights can be used in changing your educational landscape for the better. Thank you very much. I will stop share and I will stop recording. Okay, hello everyone. I'm here to talk about the fifth industrial revolution and how it changed the business and educational landscape in the post-pandemic world. So the term industrial revolution, as used in the fifth industrial revolution, was actually used in the 19th century, from an academic historian, Arnold Toynbee, and it describes the economic development of Great Britain from 1760 to 1840. And so from that time on, when there was a development in the economics and economic situation of people in Great Britain and in Europe, it's like fire being ablaze towards America, and also ideas from Europe came to Asia as well. So there are already 4 industrial revolutions that happened in the history of humankind? Well, of course, we um, are coming from the first activity that man has, of course, the agricultural. You know, everything is agricultural, and call it the first industrial revolution, where it occurred mainly before 18th century and in Europe and in America. So we call that first industrial revolution as characterized by mechanization, where gradually steam engines are replacing the human power in terms of agriculture. So everything no, that was invented during that time is to ease the burden of work related to agriculture, and then eventually towards industrial activities from the products that was made from agriculture and that was harvested from the agriculture. It becomes now the raw materials for industries. And so during this time, during the first industrial revolution, it is characterized, of course, by mechanical production facilities, and it's driven by water and steam. So the machines are being run by water power or steam power at that time. Of course, we know from understanding our history all about this different inventions that was discovered during the first industrial revolution. The second industrial revolution is characterized by using electricity, by using electrification. And so from the late 1800s to the start of the First World War, which is 1912, uh, history reported no, that there is a big production of steel, and of course electricity and combustion engines were mainly used during this time, but also because of the mass production, um, there was in economic what we say that there's a division of labor, um, and they use machines being enabled by electricity as well. And then the third industrial revolution happened around during the 1980s, no, and it's characterized by automation and globalization, where the first computer was introduced, and of course, the internet was being used during that time. So, what is its characteristic? Well, the first characteristic of this third industrial revolution was the automation of production through the use of electronic and IT systems, where the different systems are used in order to hasten the production. Of course, mass production is still there, but how do we use all of this IT, all of these systems, information technology to amp the and to level up the kind of production that they are doing? And so it is also characterized by products coming to other countries as well, and the globalization of trade. The fourth industrial revolution, of course, as we already see it and experienced, no, during the start of the first 21st century, is all about digitalization. We are exposed to researches on artificial intelligence, the Internet of Things. Also, we are looking into blockchain and cryptocurrency and everything, well, everything digitalized. No? And so we look at the fourth industrial revolution as education or business characterized by the use of robotics and artificial intelligences, augmented reality, and virtual reality as well. Um, the question is the Philippine education or the Philippine economy um, achieved the characteristics of fourth industrial revolution? Well, that's mainly the big question. No, maybe we are ushering into the fourth industrial revolution, but we are not there yet. But the world trend is now looking at the fifth industrial revolution. So I hope that we can advance our research on robotics, blockchain, Internet of Things, and artificial intelligence. As of course reported, we are 50 years behind the technology of Japan. And so we look at the models of the fifth industrial revolution, no, coming from the industrialized countries, or what we say developed countries as well. So the fifth industrial revolution is characterized by personalization, and of course, during this time, at the post 21st century, or the second decade of 21st century, will be characterized by a lot of innovation and looking into inclusivity and the purpose of businesses as well. So there is a deep multi-level cooperation between people and machine, no, and the consciousness of the idea that machines cannot do the job alone, but they need the human intelligence as well. So they go back to the importance of the human brain and the human factor. So what actually is the fifth industrial revolution? Well, it can be summarized as the combination of humans and machines in the workplace. Will there be a workplace that, you know, machines and humans can work together? Of course, this is just an oversimplification, because we don't even know and explain the magnitude and complexity of the change that will be our country will be going through, or the world will be going through at this time. It is an exciting time because there are a lot of researches now happening among the developed countries in terms of the fifth industrial revolution. So according to Mark Benioff, and the founder of Salesforce, no, he said, no, he told the World Economic Forum that, well, the human factor is very important, no, and how are we using these technologies for the good of the world? And doing the business in the fifth industrial revolution should be characterized by a big stakeholders partnership, as well as how to look at the machines and robots and Internet of Things as very vital, but also equally important is the human touch now in all of these things. So what are the changes that we may see in the fifth industrial revolution? Well, number one, many people will regularly work remotely. As we have seen today, we have been working remotely, and so there are good practices. There are still a lot of challenges in working remote, but as you can see, the young professionals are very, very adapted to this kind of a remote work, no? And according to the glassoflearning.com, there are a lot of best practices, no, how to collaborate when you are working remotely. And higher education as well as basic education workforce should know how to maximize the remote work, or what we say flexible work scheme. So how do we do this? Well, you can go online and you can go blended, as you need to go and see each other face to face if there are brainstormings that will be happening. But of course, you see a lot of use of internet connection, a lot of collaboration using the web, using collaborative applications as well, and the Internet of Things. And the question now is, how will we transition? No, are you fond of pure virtual education? And some teachers will say there's a lot of learning loss in this kind of remote situation and remote teaching. I hope that the higher education can see that um, working remotely or doing remote education will stay. No, and I can see that as an educator that virtual education will stay, and so we will maximize. And I think the higher education specifically should maximize the advantages of um, remote studies and remote education as well, for the benefit of our students who may have um, this challenges in doing a face-to-face class. Okay. And then number two change that we can see in the fifth industrial revolution is that menial administration will be performed by machine. No, as you can see, we have the how to order at food chains. No, instead of a crew coming to you to take your orders, you can just type in the machine, and so it will actually generate your requests of or orders of food, and it will be ready in time, no, for your pickup. Other examples of this are, of course, doing I if I may share, no, there's one airport that I've been to pre-pandemic, and I've seen that the robots are the ones cleaning the airport, and you may not see around a lot of people cleaning the airport, no, and so this kind of menial job, no, but I'm not, belittling this job, but those are jobs that can be performed by machines. And so, what's the implication for our workforce, and how do we actually um, see our students doing jobs, no, not menial jobs anymore? So, how can we train them to do thinking more than doing menial jobs as well? Okay. Also, we can see a lot of advancement in terms of health technologies, and so leading to healthier, longer living population. And I hope that we can find solutions to the pandemic problems that we are facing right now. Okay. Also, in schools, the use of 3D printing will become more and more prevalent. I've seen this kind of printing already in some developed countries that I visited. And so, students are actually printing their models on a 3D printer. And this 3D can also become 4D, and there are other researches that all of these things can also be molded into something afterwards. So one of the example of this project is the Unseen Art Project, no, where they print in 3D the paintings for the visually impaired people to actually feel and see using the 3D paintings, not 3D generated paintings, and appreciate arts and culture as well. Of course, hindi pa tayo sanay gumamit ng chatbots, but it will become a routine part of customer experience. Customer service will be, of course, replaced by chatbots. And so, yung mga call center agents natin, dapat medyo pumupunta na tayo dun sa skill-based, no? Actually, Of course, there are schools that already have chatbots, no? In their library or even at the mall, you can ask A&A or Anna, ask Anna or ask Laura. And these are chatbots. And these are artificial intelligence. Now, these are machines uh, that can actually answer your frequently asked questions in, of course, and it will, I think, be more prevalent in terms of buying something or ordering something, no, the chatbots. But there are still questions that has to be some that has implications, and a question, big question that has implication and should be answered by education leaders as you are and teachers. Well, how will we, as members of our society, respond to these changes that are happening? What are about the values? What about the institutions? What about a sense of responsibility and identity? How can we educate our students in terms of being ready for the fifth industrial revolution? And how will organizations build new trust, relationship, and psychological work contracts in this new milieu? No? How will we learn or unlearn? How will we learn living in the fifth industrial revolution? And how will all of us unlearn our old habits and gear up for the fifth industrial revolution? Are we ready to take on the fifth industrial revolution? Okay, so of course, when we say fifth industrial revolution, we are talking about jobs, no? In the article of World Economic Forum, it reported that the jobs that may emerge in the next few years have not even existed before. So, ayan, what are the jobs that doesn't exist yet? Digital cultural commentator, space tour guide, virtual reality habitat designer, personal content creator. Ito, nag-emerge na ito at this point in time. Digital cultural commentator, sustainable power innovator. I've seen a new innovation, no, just this afternoon. A lot of mechanical trees that are that can generate power from the air, no? Hindi na yung malalaking turbina yung nakikita natin, but this small, cute trees, no, mechanical trees that can generate power. Of course, ethical technology advocate, human body designer, of course, Internet of Things data creatives, visual reality habitat designer, and rewilding strategies. And as you can see, these are jobs that require very specific skills, no, in the use of technology. Okay, so the graph here from the World Economic Forum in 2018 looked on how countries around the world view to the adoption of the fifth industrial technologies. And as you can see, big data analysis is a big thing. We are talking about now big data and analyzing it. No? So it is another job that is emerging right now. No? Big data analytics is a new, what do we call this? A new avenue for jobs. No? And so we need this young people to know about statistics as well as inferring data from or inferring analytics from big data. Okay, Of course, app and web enabled markets, and app-based solutions, no? Internet of Things, machine learning, cloud computing. Are you familiar with cloud computing? Not everything is stored up in the cloud, not the cloud that we see that causes a rain, but it is where we actually store our data and information. And then we see, look at the phenomenon of the digital trade. When I was back in the 2010, I went to US for studies, and so eBay was very, very popular at that time. But this time, there are so many platforms, so many applications where you can actually buy products online, and of course, you can have different modes of payment as well. Augmented reality, encryption, looking at new materials, looking at wearable electronics. Who would have thought that the watch that tells the time can also tell many things about your body, such as your oxygen level, such as how many walks you have already, how many steps that you have already incurred as you go through your movement day to day. And these are very important health information, no? And you can obtain that using your actually your wristwatch. And then we have, of course, distributed ledgers or blockchains. And then I discussed earlier about the 3D printing, um, autonomous transportation, robotics, quantum computing, non-humanoid land robots, of course, biotechnology, robots, humanoid robots, even aerial and underwater robots. And who will design all of these things? Now, it needs the human mind to design all of these things. No? So, what are the redundant roles that, may be redundant, meaning that it can actually be replaced? Of course, data entry clerks, data encoders will definitely have to level up. Accounting, bookkeeping, and payroll clerks, because actually there are certain applications, and of course, in a computer, online applications and applications where you can actually do accounting and bookkeeping and doing payroll, administrative and executive secretaries as well, assembly line workers, factory workers, customer service workers, auditors, no? Recording and stock keeping clerks, no? Yung mga nag-inventory, general operations managers, postal clerks, financial analysts, cashier and ticket clerks, mechanics and machinery repairs, telemarketers, electronic installers and repairs, bank tellers, and related clerk, drivers, sales and purchasing, door-to-door sales, vendors, finance, and insurance clerks, no? What can be done with this kind of phenomenon? I think this is really a big challenge, how we educate our children nowadays, so that they can take on new roles such as data analysts and scientists, learning specialists using the artificial intelligence and machine, general operations manager, big data analyst and specialist, digital transformation specialists and professionals, organizational development specialists, software developer and analyst, information technology, service workers, process automation specialists. So, as you can see, hindi ito na ituturo pa. And so when we look at our curriculum, we need to, look back and take a step back and plan for this important happening, no, important change that we will actually experience in the fifth industrial revolution. So, ganun pala, di ba? Of course, is it probable that you and I will work with robots and smart machines? Yes, because when we have smart machines and robots, it's better and faster. There are a lot of things that we can do using the internet, big data analysis, and it's very futuristic, no? But now more than ever, all of these things will not be maximized if the human intuition and problem-solving capabilities, no, are not a big contributory factor in sustainable economic production. And so, okay, marami tayong machines, robots, yes, applications, but we need the problem-solving capability of the human. Why? Because these machines are done in a linear function, no? And if ever there will be problems, you still need the human mind to solve all these problems, because at the end of the day, we see all of this Internet of Things, smart machines and robots made by the human mind, no, as a product of the human mind. And so there's no doubt that robots are much more consistent than human, no, in doing the job, because they are better at precise work, repetitive work, no, but they are inflexible. They are incapable of adaptability and critical thinking that we have, no, humans have, human beings, no, possess. So the machine cannot pick up the nuance of different languages, culture, and body language. It cannot interpret facial expression as well. So, but when robots will work together with people, this very invaluable collaboration will make the life of people better. So, there should be an emphasis also of how the human adaptability, critical thinking, and other human capabilities be an important ingredient in fifth industrial revolution. Okay, we'll see a much more advanced collaborative interaction between humans, machines, processes, and systems for maximum performance and optimization. Okay, and so paano ba talaga mangyayari yan? No? So we will see that it will change our individual lives, so that we should be fully prepared to accept, because this is actually unavoidable. We will really come into this, no? So as you can see, there are network sensors. Data is being collected everywhere, from the house to manufacturing plants to traffic in the streets. And this creates a huge data about every aspect of our human lives. And so, sasabi nila, no, of course, they see that the privacy of the human, no, yung humans, our privacy, our individual privacy should also be considered. But we are being networked, we are being profiled. Our data, ano, hindi nyo napapansin, naghanap ka lang ng isang bagay dyan, later all the commercials, all the ang tawag dito, yung for your consideration will pop up, no, about related to the things that you have searched for. And then also we have modeling processes and visualization, looking into 3D printing, and then of course the tracking system. No, we can track now easily the packages, and of course the movement of people, no, in the community. Virtual training and simulated environment. the Internet of Things and machine learning, and looking into um, how the headsets can capture brain activation and can actually make tasks, no, and control robotic arm, and so the it's an example. Now this one is an example of how the human mind can actually use in terms of controlling the robots as well to perform tasks. Okay, but this is a time of excitement and anxiety as well. We will be able to do and experience things the past generations can only dream of, but we'll also leave behind some cherished practices and mindsets. There are a lot of unlearning that we have to do in the fifth industrial revolution. So now, what is Education 5.0? Of course, I dubbed it as we need to educate, we need to level up our educational system as well as the processes that we have so that our education can actually go with the changes in the economy. And so I look at how problem solving and value creation as important factors in education, not to ready our students, to prepare our students in Industrial Revolution 5.0. Of course, we already have said this according to McClellan in 2018, no? Ayan. So how has the digital revolution came? Well, and now we are looking into transformative changes towards future technology as well. Yeah. So for education to keep abreast with technological and other social and economic changes, we must recognize, no, what computers are good at doing and what they are not good at. Maybe look back and see what are the things that the computers can do and what are the things that they cannot do. And so it's important to see how we can maximize all of these things. Now, computers, including artificial intelligence, is not as good as the human brain to think abstract and to perform abstract tasks that requires complex contextual information and tasks that requires ethical judgment as well, no? Because computers and artificial intelligence machines, robots are good at routinary manual and menial tasks, no? But the human brain, we as human beings, we can actually perform abstract tasks. Contextual information and ethical judgment are important characteristic, no, to have as a human person, and also cognitive tasks as well. So, but the problem is that our education system may have not evolved in the response to the demands of the society. No, some education experts have noted that 21st century students are still being taught 20th century pedagogical practices or 19th century framework as well. Okay? When 21st century is actually characterized by interdependence, no, global communication, decentralization of power, accelerated social media, emerging nationalism, and global citizenship, but also there are increasing incidents of terrorism. But we see that workplaces have become more flat, open, flexible, transparent, and the organizations requires a lot of teamwork and collaboration more highly than having a boss or having think tanks as well. And so there are a lot of technological innovations that can be used in terms of how people can collaborate to do the job. And so what can we do? No, we need to change. We need to be keeping abreast with the times as well. And so I present to you Table 1 comparison of society, industry, and education across 19th and 20th century and the aspirational vision of OECD for 21st century. Um, well, the vision for 21st century is the towards the Industrial Revolution 5.0. As you can see, no? Um, in the 20th century, there are a lot of wars as well as in the 19th century, but the vision for the 21st century is interdependence among nation states, no? Um, you know, nationalism in such a way that it's local, cyber physical technology, AI, 3D printing, robotics, social media, Internet of Things, no, the things that I've already mentioned earlier. And of course, consumer takes part in the production of goods and services. It's all about sense making. It's all about constructivism, but shared values as well, no, towards the SDG. So what will the curriculum look like in the 21st century? Of course, we already know that during the 19th century, we educate just to make our students ready for jobs, no, so that they can have a job. And in the 20th century, it was changed, no, education should make the student, no, find fulfillment individually, and the widening of a scope of education. But now we can see the focus of education is all about preparing for interdependence, education for global citizenship. See the breadth and depth of education as a balanced as well. No, ethical judgment is being, and critical thinking, and all of these 21st century skills. Education is flexible, more personalized, non-linear, no, because the 19th century and the 20th century education, it's very linear, but it's not, it's non-linear, it's dynamic, it's flexible. No, we see an education that is flexible and that is needs-based according to the needs of our students as well. What about environmental stewardship? How do we use our nature, our environment, no? And the 21st century education looks at how human can coexist with nature, humans as part of the mother nature, not just the user, no? And we support that green growth vision, because you consider our nature as the natural capital, no? The natural capital that we have, and so for sustainable development. What about society's changes? We have a lot of right now we cannot move around, no, because of the pandemic, but you will see a lot of moving around, no, accelerated migration and urbanization, but also a longer life expectancy. No, on the other hand, you see growing inequality and technological divide as well, but you see different problems related to natural resources such as climate change and all of these things. No? Well, in work and organization, no, the organization is flatter, it's open, more open and more flexible, and teamwork is important rather than listening to the higher ups, no? And what about work organization in education and schooling? So partnership is important. So collaboration and partnership are the key words of the Industrial Revolution 4.0 as well as Education 4.0 and Education 5.0 as well. Okay? So what our roles, no, in the new normal of education? So you see, education system is an independent entity. No, it is the traditional framework, but if you want education 5.0, you can see at education system as part of a larger ecosystem. It is not just the macro environment, but the um, macro environment, the bigger ecosystem, no? And so um, hindi na pwede yung selected groups of people to just think. No, the think tank should also be shared among different stakeholders, and so the responsibility is shared, no, rather than just the division of labor. And what are the approaches and to effectiveness and quality of school experience? Of course, not just the outcomes, but also the processes. In addition to student performance and student achievement, we look at how they see themselves as citizens and not only focus on academic performance, but on their holistic well-being as well. We want the whole child to be developed, in our approach to teaching. And so earlier I mentioned that education is non-linear. If education is non-linear and flexible, we have to train our students to become more independent learning and creating their own learning path and be equipped with the knowledge and skills and attitudes to become independent learners in this kind of an environment. No? And so the focus of monitoring is not just academic achievement or academic development, but the holistic development and the continuous improvement through feedback at various levels. And we look at from standardized testing, we look at the different assessments that can be used so that students can actually participate, and they are active participants of the decision making and of creating the life that they want. Okay? So, ayan, well-being 2030, of course, transformative competencies, valuing, yan, diba? There are transitions that should be made. And so different levels of cooperation, no, is needed to go there. Okay? But, yan, we want to teach core functions such as core skills, knowledge, attitudes, and values. They are prerequisite in learning, no? And in maximizing the education 5.0. We need to look at the basics, no? Okay naman yan. Bakit laging sinasabi, no, dapat higher order? Yes, we can teach higher order, but we have to prioritize first the basics as well. But not to stay and linger on the basics. We have to maximize, no, towards the more complex types of teaching. Of course, transformative competencies are important. Transformative education is very important. And what are the different transformative competencies that we actually need to shape a better future, to create the value of life, no, and to take responsibility of our actions nowadays. Ayan, to prepare our students co-agency, of course, student agency is defined as the capacity to set a goal, reflect, act responsibly to affect change among themselves and to change the situation of the community as well. But it's actually focused on acting rather than just thinking about it and making choices, but also making choices and being responsible with the decisions and choices, rather than waiting for the teachers to tell them what to do. So we need to have an education system that really encourage independent thinking, student agency, no, that where learning involves not only instruction and evaluation, but also co-construction of learning, so that students can actually be trained to become co-agent and creators of learning. And when students are have a very good self-efficacy, a high self-efficacy. They can work together with the parents, they can work together with the teachers and with the instructors, no, to meet their goals as well. We need to teach sustainable development goals or the global goals 2030, the different knowledge, skills, and attitudes specific to teaching education for sustainable development, and look into how we can actually use the knowledge and concepts, no, understanding of the knowledge and concepts, and of course the skills that are metacognitive, social and emotional, practical and physical, and of course cognitive skills that can be used in problem solving, in creative thinking, in 21st century skills as well, no? And of course, to develop among our learners the shared values of humanity, be more inclusive, be more peace loving, no, adhere to the sustainable development goals of 2030 as well. And so that is the discussion on Industrial Revolution 5.0 and Education 5.0 or Education 5.0. There are a lot of challenges, exciting times ahead, but also it will require us to prepare right now. So when we say we have to prepare, I can say is that the future is now. It's very important that we unlearn some things, no, to prepare our students to be really future ready. So we look at how futures education and how futures perspectives can be really, really, really important in, no, in managing our curriculum, in leading our schools toward that important change that we have to do in terms of getting ready for our industrial revolution 5.0 or the fifth industrial revolution and education 5.0. Thank you very much. If you have question, you can just type in or send us a question. Me at rowenahibanada@gmail.com, and I will be very much willing to answer your queries as well. Thank you very much. Okay, hello and welcome to this lecture. I'll be talking about pedagogies that are unfolding in post-pandemic education, maybe as part of Education 4.0 or Education 5.0 as well. But it is unfolding, as I have actually indicated in my presentation, because we are learning. None of us are prepared for this kind of education, actually. And so we are at a very high learning curve at this point in time. So thank you very much for registering for this lecture. And let's start. Okay. So we live through different levels of community quarantine since March 2020. And now we are already in the of course, I would rather say that in detail or post-pandemic, but as we can see now that students are learning at home, and globally, according to UNESCO, there are about over 1.2 billion students, children that are out of the classroom. And so teaching in the online class may have affected our students because of the problem of access, of connectivity, of technological provision. And so we do Maslow before Bloom. No, we consider first Maslow before Bloom. What do I mean? Or Krathwohl. What do we mean by that? We have to first address the physiological needs of our students, no, in order for education to be actually effective, no? But for those who can afford, for those who can actually uh, have an access to education, they are learning to different kinds of modalities. They are using different applications as well, no? And we as teachers are using different applications in order to meet our students, no? And so teacher leadership is very important. So what are we going to do with this? Teacher leaders need to initiate now and collaborate. There should be initiatives for collaboration among teachers and among teacher leaders and among education leaders as well to look into data gathering. How do we teach in a post-pandemic education? How do we answer the challenges of this situation? I don't have any answers to that, actually. No, we are also at the Philippine Normal University, we're also trying to research on this and trying to find out how can we best deal with this situation, no? And it's an ongoing research, it's an ongoing quest on how to be more responsive and how to be more relevant in educating our students nowadays. And so, I believe it's true that we really have a learning loss at this point in time, and our students are suffering as well as the teachers are suffering, because there are a lot of things that we need to do, and we need to know if the things that we are doing are actually impacting the learning of our students, diba? And so teacher leadership is very important in the new normal of education. 21st century skills should be first characterized by the teachers. It should be, sorry for that. It should be given focus at this point in time. Now, we need more teacher leaders to look at how we are experiencing the classroom of the pandemic education and how are we going to get there. And so there are more need to become teacher leaders nowadays at any point, I think, of education, of our history and education. And so who are these teacher leaders? These are the students heroes, as I say it. They are the teachers who are experiencing this situation, the teachers on the ground, and that's who you are, and you need to make your voice louder. We need to be heard in terms of policies and educational planning that are happening right now. So we need to actually be accountable as well of what we are doing, but be equipped with the most important things that we are doing is to address the learning needs of our students and the learning gaps of our students as well. So we can do Zoom like this, we can do Kamustahan, we can do collaboration using the virtual platform because of the different limitations set by the pandemic. We need to collaborate. We need to talk to each other. We need to research together. We need to see the data that we have in the classroom. Diba? So the question now is, what do you think are the possible changes in education, and how will we see ourselves in the post-pandemic future? Number one, we can see teachers designing the learning experience to be differentiated as possible, differentiation. Dati sinasabi lang natin yung individual differences, napaka-cliche niyan. But now, flexible learning is the language of the post-pandemic education. And how do we use the flexible learning? This will stay. The modular learning will stay. The blended learning will stay, the virtual learning will stay, the digitalization of materials will stay, I think. And so the blended learning approach will be used, and the tools will that will best serve the students' needs. I see that there are a lot of options now, and I think it's good for the students to have those kinds of options. No, sabi ko nga dati, how would you actually be inclusive in this kind of education? How can we be more inclusive in terms of relating to the needs of the students as well? Okay. Of course, it's important to see how collaborative partnership, not just among teachers and teacher leaders and school heads, but also across sectors in planning for education with institutionalized dialogue that ensures that students, parents, and teachers have a voice, because they are the major players here, no, the key players, no, in the solution driven approach that we will use, no, post-pandemic. So multilateral collaborative partnership is important to think about. We have to talk about this. We need to have meetings on this, maybe on the community level as well as the national level. Okay? Yeah. So what do we need to do today to prepare ourselves for what's ahead? How do we actually find pedagogies? Now, we need to have professional development. And you coming in here to learn more is a very noble, it's a very commendable initiative, no? For you to personally learn, okay? Kasi ang daming dapat matutunan ng teacher, and training yourselves, no? Finding trainings that you will actually pay is an investment that you make for yourself as teachers, as education leaders. It's an investment that we give ourselves. It's a gift, no, that we have to actually give to ourselves in order for us to learn something new and to benchmark different ideas coming from different professionals as well. Technology will remain, and I'm glad that there are more teachers using the technology as well. But there are techie teachers, but also there are teka teachers. So where are you? Where do you belong? No, at what level are you right now? Are you in the techie teacher or the teka lang teacher? But the teka lang is important also, kasi teka lang, I will learn this. Na maganda yung sinasabi mo, teka lang, I will learn about this. I will find out how this works and how I can best use it in my classroom, because there is an enormous array of options, no, how to teach and how to use educational technology in education. But we know our students. Nobody knows your students better than you are. And so we contextualize depending on the need of our students. I cannot give you a prescription. This is not a prescriptive training, no? This is just to ignite your thinking and to ignite your critical thinking as well, no, transformative thinking, in order for you to find out what works best and what are these options that I have in order to adhere or to be relevant in terms of my pedagogies, no, that I give among my students. And of course, no, we have to be confident and prepared to teach, no? Lagi ko sinasabi yan, no, pedagogical content knowledge. Now, we have pedagogical, technical content knowledge. We have the technical, technological, pedagogical content knowledge, meaning that you have a very good you have a very good adoption of different pedagogies, as well as, of course, the mastery of the subject matter is very important as well. Okay? Uh, how can we be innovative? Teacher welfare. Of course, we have to train, no? Because the quality of an education system cannot exceed the quality of its teachers. No? McKinsey 2007. Hindi natin pwedeng sabihin na, ay, magagandang mga aklat, maganda yung facilities. The teachers are important. And I say it's always teacher factor. Okay? How do we fulfill the potential of our learners in their holistic development? We need to train the teachers as much as possible. We have to also look into teacher welfare. No, frontliner tayo ng education eh. So if you're an education leader who is listening to me right now, I think it's important that you look upon how teachers are supported, no, in terms of training, in terms of all the aspects of support that teachers need. Okay, we have to be reflective practitioners. We have to reinvent our teaching practices. We need to look at the best practices in teaching and learning so that we can move forward, no? We can move forward towards the better normal, as we can say. Okay? Bayanihan ito ng edukasyon. Ito ay isang bayanihan ng pagtungo sa nais nating matunguhan o papuntahan. And so, we need to be reflective practitioners. We need to be transformative. We need to look at the best practices among different campuses, different schools, and also different countries. And look at our teaching practices as well. No? Find the gem and contextualize. Of course, we look at how we can reinforce high technology teaching, low technology teaching, and no technology solutions that is dependent on the context, no, viable to the learner. It is possible that some learners do not really have access to any internet connection, and that's infrastructure problem. It's not our problem, but we are affected by it. It's not our responsibility to provide infrastructure, but this is a perennial challenge, no? And this requires the government solutions, no, in terms of access to good technology connection, infrastructure. And so we need to look at how we can have pedagogies that doesn't require internet at all. No, and I call that no technology solutions. How about low technology solutions? And we know that, no, that there are a lot of possibilities in terms of this. Also, we can use learning management systems that will work according to the different age groups among our students. We have to research, we have to test, no? Everything is research right now. So we have also to give professional development on how to use the different learning management systems that teachers can utilize, no, in organizing their classrooms as well. Okay? Next, we have to have a clear communication structure. We need to have a clear communication hub where the school can become the better center of communication for the whole community through the school-based management system and school-based management communication. Dapat yung brigada eskwela, hindi lang yan nangyayari tuwing umpisa ng klase. Dapat ang brigada eskwela ay buong taon. Now, how do we communicate our needs? And how do we clearly communicate the kind of support that we need from the different sectors of our community? So, teachers, we need to collaborate, be cool in collaborating with other teachers and other stakeholders because the pandemic itself is, is stressful enough. So we have to be cool in collaborating with others as well. We have to trust our professional judgment. You know what works. You know your students. You know your subject area. You know yourself. And so this is not a one size fits all solution prescription to all of you, but this is requiring you to be more critical, to be more creative, to communicate and collaborate with each other, and trust your ethical judgment as well as professional judgment in looking at the different pedagogies and strategies in communicating with your students as well. But we have to remember, if we use the internet and if we use different applications, we have to remember data privacy for our students. It so happened that I'm a trainer of the Digital Tayo Facebook. And so also we need to look at the different feedbacks. No, listen, we need to listen. We need to find feedback. We need to pivot when needed. We need to adapt, or we need to change decisions if needed. But as teachers, we need to listen to our students. And as school heads, we need to listen to our teachers. And we need to listen to each other and from different stakeholders, because we cannot do the job alone. So we need to keep the engagement high. We need to take care of the whole child. We need to have a whole child approach in dealing with the post-pandemic education. And of course, I would like to remind everyone to be kind to yourself and to other people as well. This is a hard time that we are facing. No, these are hard times. But if we are kind to each other and we are kind to our students, if we have love, no, and all of this remains, no, love. Thank you very much, and I hope that you learned something from this talk. I will. I am very much willing to answer your questions. Just send in your question to rowenahibanada@gmail.com or hibanada.rr@pnu.edu.ph. Thank you very much and have a nice day ahead.